Welcome to Deep in the Plus. I'm your host, Rob Whiteside. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. If you are new to WDWNT TV, what took you so long? Welcome. Please subscribe to this channel. And if you have the ability, please click like on this video. It helps people to find us, and we appreciate it. We'll be following along in the chat if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns along the way. But tonight we have this lovely group of people together to talk to you about Lindsay Lohan. Because it's Lindsay Lohan Appreciation Month, and it's Patrick Hackett. How are you, sir?
I am fantastic. Rob Whiteside, the Wednesday Night Delight. Let's get things popping. Woo!
Yeah, that's... Dude, I'm taking you down a half a notch because that blew my ears off. I love the energy, though. Don't lose the energy. Keep the energy. Coach?
We have the, as we like to say, the fourth quarter here, or the ninth inning, however you want to look at it. This is the wrap-up of the great Lindsay Lohan. It's game time. Let's do this, Rob. I'm excited as well.
And Desi, how are you?
Let's get together and do this show.
Yeah, no one gets that reference. So when when we started talking, and Patrick, I've blamed you every single time we've talked about this. We talked about, he said, we should do a theme month. And I went, great, what are we going to do? And we talked about a whole bunch of other things. And I was like, you know what, Lindsay Lohan, let's do Lindsay Lohan month, because Parent Trap, Freaky Friday, Herbie Fully Loaded. There were so many movies that were Disney that she was a part of, and you know, we're like, yeah, let's do this. And so we had a different one of you on each month. I know that you know, I did get a clue. Yeah, each week. Sorry, thanks for the correction. So we had Emma Cooley was on. She talked to me about Get a Clue. The movie, not like some personal issues. And then Patrick, you and I talked about Herbie Fully Loaded, which was a movie we had always wanted to do, and you're officially the Herbie guy and the Mars guy and the High School Musical / Teen
What
Beach
if
guy.
Herbie goes to Mars?
No. And then
All right.
Coach did Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen because it's his favorite movie of all time. And then Desi was on to talk about Freaky Friday. So, you know, and again, I've said this every time. Every time we started talking about Lindsay Lohan, everybody went, oh, that's great. I love Mean Girls. No, Mean Girls, yeah, it's not a Disney movie. And so
Are you finally wearing pink?
It's red. Why aren't you wearing pink? On Wednesdays, we wear pink.
Because I'm wearing the same outfit that Annie and Chessie did.
Is her
Okie
name
doke.
Chessie?
Chessie, like
Chessie?
Chester and Hester.
By the way, Shannon's in chat. She said, I get the reference, the Let's Get Together reference. So, yeah,
And she
absolutely.
didn't sing it, by the way.
She did sing it. You're right. And so the reference being that in the original Haley Mills version of this movie, The Parent Trap, they did a song, Let's Get Together. By the way, there was also a twins TV show called The Patty Duke Show, where in that one they were cousins. They were identical cousins. What? So in this movie, I mean, the basic premise is that Lindsay Lohan is playing not one but two parts, which is very cool. We're going to talk about that a lot. But one of the things that I find very funny is at the time, this was her introduction into movies. She had been on soap operas, but this was her first introduction into movies. And a lot of people thought, because of how well they pulled this off, that this was actually, these are twins. Like, I don't know. I mean, Patrick, that takes you by surprise? You didn't know that? No one's ever said that to you before?
No, I've never heard that. That's really strange to me that people wouldn't get it, like, since it's literally just going off the gimmick that it was one person doing two things.
I saw an interview
it took
with
me a long
Dennis
time.
Quaid, and he thought they were two different girls.
Really?
That's not shocking. The Quaid family, that gene pool can use a skimmer.
Stop it. Stop it. We are not here to bash Dennis Quaid and his family
That
tree.
wasn't the one I was thinking about.
No, okay. No, we're here to talk about.
Well, I mean, it took me forever
Lindsay.
to figure out that, you know, Michelle on Full House was actually not was one person, two people. Listen, it gets confusing. So all right, maybe I can see it.
Okay, yeah.
All right, I get it.
No,
now.
but there were a lot of people who were just saying, hey, I think it's two girls and they do a great job. But there was some confusion because I think she did a really good job with this one. And then, again, we'll talk about how she played that off in a bit. But so The Parent Trap is the movie. This is not the original Parent Trap. This is the remake from 1998. The original Parent Trap is available on Disney Plus as well, but not Lindsay Lohan, so we wouldn't do it in Lindsay Lohan month. Maybe someday we'll do a review of that one too, but this one's strictly about this version of it. So, Patrick, I assume you had seen this one before before we were doing this review, right? So the first time you saw it, what was the situation?
I have no idea what the situation was when the first time I saw it. I can only imagine being like homesick or something, but it was 98, so I was 17. I don't know what would have brought me to this movie the first time. Unlike Herbie, I have actually seen this one before this time, and I did remember things from it. So I was excited that I had a proper memory in there.
Well, I'm just surprised again that when we talked about Herbie that you hadn't actually seen Herbie before, because
I thought I did.
You were so into the idea of it, and you're like, "Oh man, Herbie Fully Loaded is not on Disney Plus. This is awful. I'm so angry." And then it's like when we watched it, you're like, "I don't think I've ever seen this movie before."
He just really liked the lights, motors, action scene.
Probably.
I said that it made me miss Lights, Motors, Action. That's how bad that movie is.
Stop. So, wow. I mean, this is Lindsay Lohan Appreciation Month. Desi, what was your deal? Did you see this, did you watch it first with your kids, or did you watch it when it first came out?
No, I watched it when it first came out. I think I said this previously, but I'm pretty close to the same age as Lindsay Lohan, so I was in the right age for the era, and I also have divorced parents, but I would never want to get them together. That seems like a terrible idea.
Wow. Okay. All right. You're on fire there.
Right.
Coach?
Deep in the plus.
Coach, what was your memory of this?
I had watched this when this came out many years ago, similar age to Patrick. So, yeah, I watched it. It was kind of in a group setting. It was like over a sleepover or something at somebody's house. So I didn't remember most of the movie. I did remember sort of the camp scenes with all the sort of Home Alone-ish kind of deal. So,
what
is that funny, Rob, that I had a sleepover?
What an awful sleepover! What do you want to do? I don't know. Watch The Parent Trap?
There was a lot of things going on, Rob. There was a lot of things going on. It was one of those things where there's a lot of things going on, and the only thing I remembered about it was the Home Alone-esque of the cabin scene. So I enjoyed that thoroughly.
That is pretty weird. So let's back up a second and talk about something Desi just talked about, because I think when I was watching this with my family, that question came up. Like, do you think that when this movie came out, that little kids saw this and went, "Hey, my parents are split up. Maybe what I need to do is find a way to parent trap them"? What I mean, it never occurred to me. But I mean, do you think that's something that like little kids were like, "Oh, this is beautiful, this is brilliant. I'm definitely getting my parents back together." Clearly, the only problem was that they split apart. They didn't have two of me. Let me go through and make this right. I mean, is that a possibility that could have happened, Patrick? That took you by surprise there. So clearly, like, this didn't enter your mind.
My wife watched it with me, which, by the way, she refused to watch Herbie Fully Loaded. And she's like, how did two rational adults come up with the idea that splitting twins apart and pretending the other one doesn't exist was the best course of action?
Right? It almost seems like child abuse. It seems like that somebody needed to step in and go, you know what? This seems a little hinky. I mean, even though like you've got two people and they're on different like parts of the world, it still feels it feels wrong. It absolutely feels wrong. Yeah. So, I don't know. Is that how custody works?
I don't know. To your point, Rob, when Nemo came out and kids started flushing their goldfish down the drain because they thought it would bring them to the ocean, I 100% think for sure. Yeah, they had to put a warning out at one point when that movie first came out. Like, yeah, don't do that. That's not where it goes. So I 100% think that it went through people's minds. If it happened with the goldfish down the toilet bowl, I got to think that this was an option. So.
Okay. Wow.
Didn't want to go there, but I'm just,
No, it's become supremely dark. Thank you all for bringing that up. So when this movie came out, again, it was 1998. It's been a minute. That it recently celebrated an anniversary, I think actually end of July. And so it was, but we wanted to save it for last because I feel like it was her start into Disney. Like I said, it was her first movie overall. But I feel like, and we'll huddle at the end and decide, for certain. But I feel like it's probably the strongest of all of the movies. She does such a great job of playing these two different personalities. And when you're watching it, you buy the idea, because in this one the names are Annie and Hallie. And you buy into the idea that she's Annie pretending to be Hallie, even though like she's just being herself, I guess, at that point. There was a TV show called The Bionic Woman. You guys probably have no idea what I'm talking about. And so
What are you talking about?
So The Bionic Woman had a spin-off, not a spin-off, but like a resurgence in the late 90s, early 2000s. And the woman who played her was Australian, I believe, or British. And when she had an American accent the whole time, but she went undercover and she used like her British accent, which was just her normal accent. So I feel like that's kind of the way,
That's
right?
Very smart.
And it's so weird when they decide to do that, because like if you watch Star Wars, Rey and Finn are both British, but one gets to be British and one has to be has the American accent. I don't know why you make those choices, but in this one, because they're in two different continents, Annie grows up with a British accent, and then Hallie falls into it so easily. So that's the only like thing that I don't buy. But the rest of it, I think she does an amazing job pretending to be the other person. I see you nodding your head a lot, Desi. You agree with that?
I think that the reason that Rey has the British accent, based on some conspiracy theories that I've watched, is because her dad is Palpatine. So that's why I think she's got a British accent.
Good. Anyway, well, Patrick's. Before we move on with this nonsense, you want to comment on that?
What fan theory is this somehow in Star Wars canon?
Because all the bad guys had British accents and all the good guys had American accents. So that is how you knew that underneath Rey was really a Palpatine and Kylo was really a good guy.
That
Rob,
tracks.
I would say to your point, there was a little nuance too. Like there were times where it seemed like she was purposely not having a good British accent when she was pretending to have one.
Yep.
Like it was decided. Yeah, that's right, Patrick. No, I think it's and it was intentional. It was clear that she was intentionally acting to have a bad accent, which when you think about her age and the role itself, it's pretty amazing that she was able to pull that off. I'm curious to how they shot it in terms of, did they shoot like all the scenes for an extended amount of time and then go back and shoot the other? I don't know. It just seemed it was impressive, to be honest with you. Consider how young she was and the amount of pressure she was under, obviously. I mean, it's not a seasoned actor. You're not talking about, Gregory House, who is actually British and auditions as an American and fools the casting director. He's a 45-year-old man when he does it. He's not a kid. So, kind of.
So
it's just a thought. I mean,
they
it's pretty
searched
impressive.
far and wide to find the double for the stand-in to be the other twin when Lindsay was talking. And the way she was responding to herself is she had an earpiece that was feeding her own lines. There was one scene, I do believe it was in the bed where they're talking to each other. They said it took 8 hours to film because she had to keep jumping back and forth, which seems like poor production, and just have her record all one line first and then all the other. But yeah, so it wasn't an easy process, and she really did a good job with this. I want to double up on what Coach said, that you can tell when she was faking the British accent, which her British accent, not great. Also does not make her evil, just putting it out there. Looking at you.
It's too late. She's already said it. It makes her evil.
I also saw an interview with Chessie and Meredith, those actresses, they are best friends now because they spent so much time just waiting for together as they just waited for Lindsay to change her costume back and forth every time.
I can't wait for the biography movie, Waiting for Lindsay.
Speaking of Meredith, she just recently tweeted about this movie, and I was pushing to try and get her in here. We couldn't make it happen, but she says that Meredith is not the bad guy in this movie, and according to Desi, she does not in fact have a British accent, so she's not the bad guy.
That's only for Star Wars.
No, there's a lot there's a lot of truth in all that. Hey, so completely random thing that caught my attention while we were watching this movie is that as they're getting off the bus at camp. So this whole thing starts. It gives you a montage of the couple getting married, and then you don't know what happens after that. It's just this nice, wedding montage on a ship, and it all ends happily ever after. And then it's like, 11 years and 9 months later, here's what we have, and they kind of go to the camp. But this caught my attention. That pillowcase with the red, and then it has yellow, and it has Mickey's on it. I have those sheets.
What?
like now on your bed?
You don't know. You don't know. I could. You don't know.
That seems very you, Rob.
But I mean, there was something about it as I'm watching that scene that I zeroed in on me. It was like, I got that. I almost tried to dig it up and bring it, but it's still in rotation. It's not like it's been retired. It's still in rotation.
It's still in rotation.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
That's impressive.
Yeah, thank you.
Rob, proving Rob is the merchandise king.
Yeah, and there you go. So anyway, this movie again starts out with them going to camp, or it starts out with a montage, and then they go to camp. And in camp, you get to meet the characters, but it's very weird because we know the premise of the movie just from the poster, and yet they wait to reveal who these girls are twins, and they use fencing. I didn't go to a lot of camps. But Patrick, is fencing a normal activity in outdoor camping?
Well, you see, Coach and I are from Connecticut, and
Sure.
yeah, that's completely normal. Polo, fencing, water polo, clay shooting. Is that what you do? Target shooting, fox hunt.
Skeet shooting.
Skeet shooting. That's
skeet
it.
And trap.
Skeet shooting. Fox
That's
hunt.
right.
What else? We do a lot of those things here because we're
You're bougie. I get it.
very bougie.
There's a lot of woods, and we don't have any pro sports teams, so that's what happens.
Yeah. And the stereotypes in this are kind of strong when they open up. It's we meet Hallie first, and I'm going to trip that up the whole time because Haley Mills was in the original. Hallie, this movie was named, this was for Hallie, and the director, kind of dedicated to her daughter and named this character Hallie. In the original, the two girls both had names that started with the same letter. In this one, it's very different. So it's Annie and Hallie. So when we meet Hallie, she's just like a tomboy type, and then when we meet Annie, the stereotype is just so over the top. She shows up at camp in her, this is what you would send a kid to camp in, right? Obviously.
In that tweed blazer.
Right. Yeah, with the butler. Now, none of that, I mean, it doesn't, it's not so jarring when they do it, but looking back on it through, a very critical eye, what person who understands enough to send their kid to camp sends them in that outfit? Those are the dumb little things that I look at.
She does have the
Maybe
coolest
that's
butler in
this-
the history of movies. Simon's the man.
Yeah.
He's awesome. I want that butler.
Yeah. Well,
They
what's
got
your
a secret handshake? It's
what's
tremendous.
what's your butler like?
Very rude. Very curt. He needs to get it together.
It's almost like he's not there, Rob. He never cleans anything up. He never helps me out. It's almost like he doesn't.
He
it's
rings
like
the
he's
bell.
been-
Nothing happens.
He hasn't shown up.
You know
shown
what?
up for months.
He's probably out with the nanny. That's probably the problem.
Probably.
Yeah, and then
It's that darn moat, Rob. And the moat is just so hard to keep clean.
Yeah. So she's got the matching luggage, and she's doing the little dance with with her butler.
I
So
would
again,
wear that outfit today.
but again,
Is that Burberry? I like Burberry.
it's so over the top though. But they're trying to establish that these are two very different girls. And so when they meet up because they're both really good at fencing for some unknown reason. They're both really good at
Genetic,
fencing.
dude. They're sisters.
Yeah.
They
And
just have it.
Poker.
They're also really good at
Fencing and
poker.
poker.
I don't know where the crossover
All
is
right,
on that.
so
Yeah.
wait a second. The chance of those two hands happening in a game of poker is 46.8 billion to 1. It is more than all the games of playing poker that have been played on the strip in the past 100 years. There's better odds of winning the lottery than for those two hands to come up. That is just absurd.
Unless she cheated, Patrick.
Unless they both cheated.
Maybe
She could have preset the hands and then dealt the hands that way.
Yeah.
A lot of people will do that in poker.
See,
They deal them a good hand, so they bet big, and then there you go.
I thought I was getting too granular with the outfit, and then here you come with the poker stats. Brilliant. I love it. I love that we're on the same wavelength here, man. Thanks so much. Watching the fencing thing, the only thing that I can think of is no children would be fencing like this. This is like right out of like an old movie.
I fenced like that when I was 11.
Did you? Okay. Well, my bad.
Yeah.
I apologize. But I think the whole reason for that was they had to have some reason to be masked. So we have the big, great reveal that they're the same, that they look the same. Right? I mean, that's the only reason that it's fencing. What else could you have done that with other than like robbing a bank with ski masks or, I don't really know where else you could have done that. So I guess that's why they do this. But just a weird choice for this. But that's the only reason I can think of. So they duel to the death. And again, the counselors just let this happen. They just let it happen. They're like, I feel like in fencing, there's like a boundary, like wrestling, right? And once you step out the boundary, you lose the point. But no, not
it's
here.
Like a straight line, isn't it?
I think so,
Like,
but
you're kind of in a lane.
yeah. So it's something, all right. So when they
you would
go,
have thought one of the 3 counselors would have stopped them in the entire case. that counselor
counselors at this
to
camp are
camper
not
ratio
great.
is
Oh my God.
whatever was advertised as the ratio of counselors to campers. No shot that's accurate. Because I
Yeah.
only see 4 in the entire thing, and there are dozens upon dozens of children just running everywhere.
and Flo was one of them. You noticed that, right? Polly Holiday.
Yes, she was.
Yeah. Kiss My Grits. Yeah. Flo.
Oh, I thought you were talking
You thought-
about Flo.
No. Not from the insurance company. No, I meant Flo
I was
from
like,
Alice.
she's not that old. Was she one of the kids? Did she have the same haircut?
Wasn't the first girl in the fencing? Wasn't she from Game of Thrones? Wasn't she one of the actresses in Game of Thrones? The really young kid in the very beginning who gets beat. Wasn't she like one of the? She was like one of the main characters, and she killed the animal. She was with the animal guy. What's the guy's name?
I don't know,
Oh,
man.
I'm drawing a blank.
The first one she beats is the boy.
Yeah, the guy who's the animal, whatever.
But
Yeah,
the first
like
one
that's-
she. Okay. Dude, let's.
I think that's the same. I think that's the same actress.
Okay.
I really do.
Okay.
I didn't have time to.
I'm gonna have to believe you. So, like this kid right here, is that who you're talking about? So that was random too. This is a boy who shows up at the camp whose parents apparently didn't know that it's an all-girls camp.
It was an amazing
were-
subplot.
Totally fine, just dropping him off there.
It would have been
anyway.
amazing subplot if it came back around in the end somehow.
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
know, but yeah, it was.
I feel like if that boy was just a couple years older, he would have been loving it.
It's a
What do you-
different movie.
what do you mean,
That's one of
Desi? What
those
do you-
USA Up All Night movies.
I'm not really sure I follow. Maybe you could. I don't know. Anyway,
Rob,
and then
we'll talk later.
thank you.
I'll tell you all about it, buddy.
All right,
Yeah, no
pictures like usual.
No.
Oh, no pictures. Okay, cool. This is actually Janice from If Y'all Are Friends fans.
That's why I said, "Oh my God."
Yeah. Okay.
Arya
Sorry.
Starks. That's who it was. Thank you, Tran. Sorry.
No, she would have been way
No,
too young.
she's not old enough.
And that's a boy. You said the one that
It looks-
the one that she beat, and it was the boy that she beat the first time, and then it was like, are there any
think
the
other?
one in-
Lindsay's
And
brother.
what animal?
I'm like 95% sure it's Michael.
It looks like
Lohan.
Arya Starks, kind of. I don't know. Tran agrees with me in chat, so I'm going with that.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
it is 100% Michael. Lohan.
So let's back. Let's get back on the rails here for a second. So
Sorry.
So they start pranking each other in the most elaborate pranks that have ever. This like Meatballs didn't have this level of pranks. If you guys have seen the movie Meatballs, like the beds on the roof, this is literally impossible to pull these things off that they did, and yet they did it. So good on them. But at least they're putting the breadcrumbs out there for when Meredith gets hers, that they know how to prank really well. So at least there's a callback for that and a reason for that. But then when they get sent to the isolation cabin, that seems weird. Like, do people check on them when they're in the isolation cabin, or do they just illegal? Yeah. So
and they have free reign. They can leave the isolation cabin whenever they want.
But think about this: if you have the two biggest troublemakers in the whole place, do you send them far away from everyone else to be by themselves to dream up more trouble? Like, you want to keep an eye on them, don't you? Like, they go into the counselor's bunk. That's where they go if you want to fix this. Putting them out into the woods by themselves to just, like, burn it down, it seems like a bad idea. Am I wrong? I don't know. I mean, Desi...
Then the movie wouldn't happen.
Desi, you have kids. Would you send them for a timeout and put them, like, in the guest house?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, well, I don't put them in the guest house, but I put them in their room together, so... Maybe I'm just doing this wrong since I put them in their room with all of their toys together. I need to start rethinking this.
Yeah, I definitely think you do need to rethink this. I like the part where Annie brings, when they're doing poker, where Annie brings the British pound and like puts it down, like, this is also money here. And then Hallie brings a thing of quarters to camp, which that seems like trouble. Like, why would Dad let her take a whole sock full of quarters to camp? What, laundry,
quarters
I guess?
Are silver dollars.
Yeah.
Those weren't silver dollars? I thought they were silver dollars.
Either way, she has a large sack full of change.
Yeah.
She's got a gambling problem.
I felt like that was more a weapon / gambling problem.
Yeah, probably. So they go to the isolation cabin and they get to decorate it and like basically do whatever the heck they want to up there. It seems like paradise. Like, I feel like that's the place I'd want to be, is up there. So not only do you not have to share a bunk with like 18 people, you get to just share with one, but you get to
space.
Whew, I mean, it
was
really
a leaky
pays
roof
off.
though. It was a leaky roof.
But let's go. I'm sure all of them had that though, right?
I'm sure the 4 counselors were all over it.
So they're at each other's throats, but then at some point they start sharing that they both are from, like, I have a mom, but I never knew my dad. I have a dad, I never knew my mom. And we're like going, okay, put the points together. And it took too many steps to put the points together. But finally they get these pictures out, and they each have half of a ripped picture. Well, at that point, I think you already locked it down. You don't actually have to show them. But then they finally do. And when they do, I think they do a fairly good job of making it look like there are 2 of her there. I mean, this is a close-up. This isn't a far away thing. You can nitpick it a little bit. And there were some points where maybe the spotting was a little off when she's looking at her twin, and it's just a little off. But for the most part, I think that the way that they did the twin thing in here is probably the best that I've still seen to date of pulling together twins. They had
a great director.
Yeah. So.
Also, 1998. You got to consider this is 98 when they did this.
Yeah.
Like, this is impressive now. Like, if you watch it in 23, this is impressive. You did this in 98. Like, some of the other movies in 1998, it was like you could see the string as things were being,
You might have been watching the wrong movies. I don't know what movie you were watching.
It was impressive. Listen, it was impressive. It was like, I almost forgot. I was like, wow, this came out in 98. This is impressive.
No, and again, I think it's worth noting that they did such a good job, not only of her acting, but also of the way they portray them. And you have moments like this where, like, to Patrick's point, you've got a double, and they're on this side, and they do it pretty flawlessly. There weren't too many times where there was one time where I saw, like, Annie is walking, like, getting out the other side of the Jeep on purpose so that she's facing away, and a couple little things like that where. It was a little bit like, okay, that's why they did it. They made that choice because they didn't want to have to shoot them together. Yeah, and so for the most part, I think they did a really good job. My daughter watched this with me, And here's the problem she had. This is fun. This is fun. They decide they're going to pull off this great plan, and they're going to switch. And one of them's going to, and Annie's going to go back to California and see Dad, and then Hallie's going to go to London and be with Mom, and they're going to get to be there. And then they're going to pull that switch where they go at some point, guess what? It's really me. You have to take me back, and then the parents are going to see each other, and they're going to fall back in love again, and everything's going to be great. Here's what my daughter had a problem with, is to make them look like each other. Annie not only had to cut her hair, but she had to pierce her ears. And my daughter was like, well, that's not fair that she has to do both.
That ear piercing scene was terrifying, by the way.
Is that not how you do it? I just assume that's how you do it.
And the needle looked really thick. That looked like a nail she was hammering into her ear. I'm so glad that that is not how my ears were pierced, by like holding a piece of ice or something. That seemed terrible.
Okay, well, I'm looking through for the scene with the. So was it an apple that they put underneath her ear?
Yeah, it was an apple.
Yeah.
She said, like, on the count of 3, move the apple, or something like that.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Just
and
to
go ahead, Patrick.
How good everything looks. I just did a quick rundown of the cinematographer. I mean, he's still working today. His name is Dean Cooney, but some of the things he's known for: Jurassic Park, Apollo 13, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, also 2 episodes of the Book of Boba Fett. So yeah, this guy knows how to compose a film and a shot, and I think between him and Nancy Meyers, you had 2 expert hands just making what a really good-looking picture.
Well, and again, to highlight what Desi was talking about, here's the needle of death, the spike.
That is way too thick to pierce somebody's ear.
Well, and I mean, they heated it up so it's sterile. So what do you want?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
I still don't understand what the apple was for.
Have you never been to Claire's? Did they not have apples? Oh.
I got my ears pierced when I was like 2 weeks old, so I have no memory of that. But I'm assuming they don't do that at Claire's. I could be wrong.
I love the fact, though, that the planning that goes into it, the thought that went into the idea of, hey, if I'm going to be you, I need to know what your house looks like. I need to know your secret handshake with your butler, which, I mean, that's obvious. You always want to know the secret handshake with the butler. And then you need to know who everybody is, and to be able to pull it off. And honestly,
what you call them, I thought that was really important. I was like, oh, that's good. That's good. It's really weird that the parents don't put it together first.
That's the thing I was going to say next. Yes, absolutely. It's like the parents should be the first ones to put it together. But how telling is that?
Chessie.
How telling
Chessie
is that that they are so disconnected from their child, that their exclusive child, the one they got for free in the divorce, that they actually don't pay attention to them, like they've got servants to pay attention to them, or or whoever, and they don't pay enough attention to them, so they don't get they're not the ones that figure it out. I mean,
they did send them away for a 1/6 of a year, so.
All right, so here's my next question.
8 weeks plus travel. You're probably looking at about 9 weeks and not having your kids. So,
but here's my next question, though. This camp is in Maine. They sent the kid over from London to this camp, and they sent the kid from California to this camp. You would think, is this the world's most exclusive camp? And to that point, they can only afford 4 counselors, and they're not very good, according to Coach. So, like, why this camp? Like, that's a little bit far-fetched. I would have liked a little bit more backstory that, like, hey, maybe it was a co-ed camp, and maybe, Mom and Dad both met here. That would have made a little bit more sense to me. Patrick,
or maybe...
Go ahead, Desi.
Maybe the mom and the dad are both really into fencing, and this is the only camp that offers fencing.
Ooh.
I mean, Maine is the way life
like
should be,
that.
Rob. That's their slogan. So.
Patrick, you got something
I
better
like
to
that
say.
way better than what I was going to say. I was just going to say, yeah, like Rob was saying, the backstory would have been better if when they do their meet cute on the boat, when we're seeing like how the parents all got together, if they started talking about this camp. And then it would make sense why they went there. The only thing I could think of is, I guess Maine would kind of be in between LA and California. It's probably like the same flight.
But why does it need to be between the two? Because they weren't sending them.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
No,
like,
they
yeah.
weren't sending them to get together. Right.
Yeah.
They wanted to keep their kids blissfully unaware of their sister.
Unreal. Again,
Monsters.
it's yeah, right. The more you think about that, the more you're like, what? That's crazy. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, very strange. And then the fact that like her father, who lives with them, and he's okay with that. He's okay not knowing his other granddaughter that's out there. That he was all right with that. He was like, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and play along with this.
As a mom, I couldn't imagine telling, like, if my husband and I ever broke up, saying, okay, you get one kid and I get the other. No, I want them both.
You know what, though, Desi? They look exactly the same. You're not missing out.
They're
This
the
is
same,
exactly
yeah.
the same. They look exactly the same.
My kids look exactly the same.
Right, exactly. So this is actually ripe for you to have this same situation happen in your life. So, I mean...
The
No,
only
Isn't
thing
the
that would make
Go ahead.
sense
Sorry.
is if they were trying to do nature versus nurture and doing some long-term science experiment.
Kind of like the Big Bang Theory, where the mom used Leonard the entire time to do her
Yeah.
experiments. It should be something like that, yeah. So this little thing that she does here, I feel like they didn't lean into that enough. I feel like there might have been some sub-story deleted out with that, because she did that a lot, but not enough.
Wakanda forever?
Yeah, I don't know. Shut up. No, that's not...
Oh, Desi can bring up Star Wars and Palpatine, and I make one
Rob
Marvel
brought up
reference,
Star
it's a
Wars.
Look,
Rob
kids,
was the one
the
who
truth
brought up
is-
Star Wars, and I
Look-
ran with it.
Look, kids, Big Ben, Parliament.
The grandfather is a man of leisure, Rob. He doesn't know
Clear.
what's going on all the time. That's what it is. That's why he doesn't know which grandkid's what.
Clearly.
Man of leisure. He smokes a pipe. You know.
Yeah.
She says you
But
smell like
he
you smell like
figures it
tobacco.
out.
You know. Yeah, because he's using the aid of things.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So once they get to their destinations, we first see how things are going in London, and she arrives in the airport, and she has to like stand up on a chair to try to find the butler. I feel like he's not doing his job at this point if he wasn't right there at the plane to meet her, but that's fine. You know, so
Holding
then
up a little sign.
yeah, exactly. So then they go back to her new house with her mom, and she walks in and looks around, and she ends up going and seeing the mom and giving her a big hug and all that. Which again, it's like, you look very different. There's something different about you, is what she kept saying. Oh, you got your ears pierced. Oh, you cut your hair. So it was an interesting, again, scene with her coming into this house that she didn't really know, and then the reveal of the mom. Like, the mom wasn't just right there. There's the whole reveal of the mom. The same thing with the dad.
I would
when
be right
they made
there.
Yeah,
If I
right?
hadn't seen my kids in 6 weeks, I would be. First off, I would have been the one to go pick them up at the airport myself and not send the butler. But then again, I don't have a butler.
So you say.
Why would you not? Why would you not just be there immediately at the front door to welcome your kid home?
Why did the butler not drive? Do we know why the butler didn't drive? Did that
Because
bother
he's not the
anybody else?
chauffeur; he's just the butler.
Yeah,
Yeah, but he's not a
They have
chauffeur either. It was
They
like
have
a
different jobs.
it was like an early Uber. It wasn't their car because they were like, "Oh, see you later, bye." Because he get in, he goes
it
to
was
the airport.
black car
Well, if
service
he's
that
there-
existed before Uber, man. People got
I'm just
black
saying, it's
Lincoln Town
weird.
cars and stuff.
So you paid. You could have just had him drive. I don't know.
It
They're
was like a Rolls
wealthy.
Royce or something. It wasn't a taxi.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seemed weird.
Oh, okay. All right. You know what?
Because he's like, "You're home." Well, don't talk. You're not allowed to talk. You're just supposed to open the door and drive away.
different
You
things.
guys,
bother
I
different-
would
right?
hate to be your servants, because like you're both like, he's not doing his job. He's not close enough to the gate of the airport. This one's telling people
on,
not to talk. Like
They're
what's going on
that's
here?
stupid.
They're human
Patrick,
beings.
they're bougie people. Patrick, you and I are like salt
heard-
of the earth, man.
you've heard
We
that-
we have
you've
to
heard
do
that
it all
Stewie
ourselves.
joke. No conversation. You've heard that Stewie joke. Come on. Her family guy?
Anyway,
Nobody?
so
Okay. Someone's laughing in
she
chat.
meets mom. She meets mom, and she breaks down in tears. It's like, oh, why are you crying? It's like you haven't seen me in forever. It's like, pick up the breadcrumbs, lady. Come on, figure this out. You know. So that's the mom is played by Natasha Richardson, who has since this movie passed away. She was married to Liam Neeson, and she didn't do too much else after this, but it was. I felt that as I was watching it. Like, I felt sad that, her life was cut short, so short. There's not a lot of, this is a weird, like, left turn to take. There's not a lot of merchandising opportunities in this movie, but Hallie is really in love with her doll Cuppy, right? So she has this doll Cuppy that she holds on to. They actually merchandised this. Like, that was a thing that they sold, where you could buy Cuppy. Mm-hmm. Wow. Yep. So,
do you have a Cuppy?
Not on me, but we did have one. There was one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Was this your daughter's, like, favorite movie or something?
No.
You just
was it yours?
The merchandise problem.
She was really into fencing, and
was Cuppy ever placed on those Disney sheets? I need to know.
Yeah, so there's
my
Cuppy
God,
from
Cuppy's adorable.
Right, from the Disney store, yeah. So, yeah.
Oh.
So Cuppy was a thing. There was a little bit of merchandising from this, but obviously no like big park tie-ins or anything like that we've talked about with some other movies on here. So we're having like Hallie's moment with mom, and then we cut to dad and his situation, and Annie keeps finishing every sentence with dad, and he's like, well, why do you keep calling me dad? So it's like, again, they're kind of picking up on it, but not really. They're just not really paying attention to the whole thing. So they go back, and that's when Annie gets introduced to who, Desi? Your favorite character in the whole movie?
Chessie?
What's your connection
Meredith?
there?
I don't know.
No.
She's got a cool name. It's memorable.
Because you've said it a lot since we started. I thought maybe there was some other, like, maybe you wish she was your nanny or whatever.
No, there is so much denim going on in this movie. That's why I wore this shirt.
So much denim.
So I guess I'm watching this, and I'm thinking, like, at first time watching, like, that is that his sister? Like, why is this not a love interest?
I thought it was his sister too.
Yeah, but apparently not. Apparently it's just she
Also,
just takes care of them.
I had assumed that the butler was gay.
Because he's British, Desi?
Because he's
Desi,
like, oh,
we
well,
gotta get
if
you
I
to
were
sensitivity training.
If I were seeing my
can
ex
dance?
and I had your legs, I would wear this outfit. I'm sorry. And so I was surprised when he and Chessie got together, because I'm like, well, how come he never made a move on the mom, and how come Chessie never made a move on the dad? You would have thought that would have happened.
So we have
some kind of weird chemistry there.
So we have a super chat from Tyler Rod. Thank you so much, by the way, for the super chat. We appreciate it. I visited Stagland Winery in Napa, where The Parent Trap was filmed. It's a family-owned winery, and the wines were excellent. They also have a nonprofit that helps those with mental disorders. Highly recommend visiting. Again, Stagland Winery. Thank you so much, Tyler. We appreciate the super chat.
Thank you, Tyler.
And the information. That's great. I love going to places where movies have been filmed. Bethesda Fountain in Central Park is one of those that I went out of my way the last time I was in New York to go to, because the Avengers final scene from the first movie was filmed up on the bridge. Enchanted was filmed down by the fountain, so was John Wick. I mean, there are a lot of movies, and it's really neat to go to a place where movies have been filmed and to be able to, especially your favorite movies, to be able to kind of live in that experience. So I'm glad that it was a good experience for you, and also the cause that they have. It's a great cause. So thank you for sharing, and thank you for the super chat. So let's move on a little bit before we move on too far. Let's talk about Dennis Quaid in this hat. Is he pulling off this hat, Patrick?
Handsome. Yes.
I was taken aback at how handsome Dennis Quaid was, to be honest. I didn't think that he was ever that kind of sex symbol type dude,
Dreamboat.
but man had it going on in this movie. He was handsome.
Well, you know, his son is in The Boys, right? Huey in The Boys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that his
Dewey and
no, and that, yeah. And you know who he's married to?
Meg Ryan.
Meg Ryan. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, but he
I assumed when you talked about his family that you knew this.
Yeah. What was?
I just talked about Randy.
Oh, Randy Quaid.
On.
I was like, what kind of shade are you throwing here? Yeah, Randy Quaid. I think I've forgotten about Randy Quaid. I think that Dennis has forgotten about Randy Quaid, or tried to block it out. Here's another shot.
Looks a lot like he doesn't in the
just
Rookie.
In case you need another shot.
Similar.
There he is. There you go.
In The Rookie, very similar look that he had in the movie The Rookie.
You had to bring baseball into it, didn't you?
I mean, I wouldn't be a
from the
baseball
Tampa
coach.
Bay Rays.
Yeah.
See? See what I did right there?
I think it was the Devil Rays in that movie.
So
it was the Devil Rays. They switched recently.
Again, the very first time I saw this movie, I thought this could be a Prince and the Pauper type of a situation, right? So if you're familiar with the story of the Prince and the Pauper, is that they switch places because they both feel like they have it so bad. And then they, and so like the street urchin switches places with the prince, and that's what I thought was happening in this particular case. Both their parents are filthy rich. Filthy rich, not just
rich. Yeah.
not just well off, filthy rich. What's the message here? Like, there's so many great messages. If you have a messy divorce, just take one kid each and move on. If you want to get your parents back together, then you just trick them, and then that works out. And then also, just have filthy rich parents to send you to fencing camp.
I thought it was weird how amazed they were about just kind of like how different their lives were. He didn't have that it felt like it was supposed to have oh my, look at how great this life is. This is so a lap of luxury. But then when you saw the other house, you were like, well, no, you're just rich. It's just a different kind of rich. So that kind of took away from that a little bit, I think. I don't know. It was just it was like a very much a Prince and the Pauper, except then you see the Napa Valley place and you're like, whoa, this place is amazing. And then you see the British house when she opens the door and magically all of a sudden the house is 8 times the size of what it looks like from a blueprint from the street. But
yeah,
you just you're like, wait, it's 4 floors and there's a giant staircase, and I'm like,
I'm going to take the opposite side of this, because I think it's a sadder movie if one of them is not doing well and the other is in a situation where they're in the lap of luxury. That's a sad movie. That's not a fun, wacky comedy romp. That's sad and oh my god, what did these parents do to these kids? So now that they both have very well off lives, they're not missing anything except for the love of both their parents and the relationship with their sister.
Yeah,
that's fair.
So now both the parents have met the opposite girl, and what we find out is that dad is actually engaged, and that's when we meet Meredith. And so Meredith is the problem that has been dropped into this perfect plan that they've put together, because up until they went to camp, both of the kids thought that their parents were sad, lonely, and apparently filthy rich, but sad and lonely still. Money can't buy happiness, but they could buy a lot of trips to Disney World. Hey-o. But anyway, so there's this problem now with Meredith, and so Annie is starting to kind of push back and lash out, and then she's trying to reach out to Hallie, and Hallie's like, you know what, I'm enjoying my time with Mom. I don't care what the problem is. You figure it out. That's your problem. And so I feel like at that point again, Annie's got the short end of the stick here, right? Because she had to cut her hair. She had to get the needle through the ear. She had to not go home with the butler and granddad and all those things. And she comes home to Meredith and the problem that she's got to deal with, and a dog that hates her. And so again, going back to the fact the dog figured it out in a heartbeat. But that was a neat plot point, the fact that the dog knew. And so I hope that after they get together, in the end, that the dog actually doesn't hate Annie for the rest of their days. I hope that's a thing. Let's stop and do a necessary evil and say, please, again, if you have not already, please subscribe to WDWNT TV. We have some great programming, including Park Center, which you can still catch last week's episode right here on WDWNT TV and Disney Entertainment News Today. Then we have Boxed In that usually airs on Fridays, and then we have our News Tonight show, which will be back in a couple weeks. So. Please like this video, help people to find us, and let's do some trivia. Because I know you guys love it. You would hate it if we didn't.
Prepare.
You would hate it if we didn't do trivia.
I was actually enjoying the movie. I was in the fiction.
I never prepare. I always forget that this is a thing somehow.
Dude. Well, we will stop it being a thing when it stops entertaining me. So at the camp. At the camp, by the way, anybody know the name of the camp?
Anawana.
Camp Walden.
It's Walden.
Yep. Camp Walden.
Only one I'm going to get right.
On what lake? There, Mr. Fancy Pants.
Pond. I mean, that's a real place.
Yeah. No.
Chattahoochee?
Moose Lake. Moose Lake.
That's a real lake in Maine, by the way.
Yeah. So
Moosehead Lake.
In the intro, with the montage of their lovely wedding and everything, they bring out a wine bottle and hold it up, and it says something on the wine bottle. What does it say? Where the dreams
last forever.
Where the dreams have no end. You actually went in that
That's
dream
it.
segment, so that was good. Yeah, where the dreams have no end. It was really weird. It was like it was printed out like a nice bottle of water of wine on a nice ship, and it was printed out on like a dot matrix printer.
They mentioned that they met on the QE2. Did they also later get married, or was that they met and got married and conceived all in the same trip?
That's a great question.
I don't know if that was ever answered.
No. I don't know, but it was the QE2 in 1986 was like what that that life preserver said on it, because they tried to recreate that later. So what song, Patrick, because you're the music guy, opens up this movie?
That would be Nat King Cole, Love.
Nailed it. Yes. See, this is a lot easier than you thought.
That's such a good song too.
Yep.
Do you want to know the song that closes it too?
Sure.
It's Nat King Cole again, Everlasting Love.
Hallie has a hat. It's a white hat. What does it say on the hat?
Gap.
Girls rule. When they're leaving camp, they're bringing down a banner that says what the camp play was. Anybody catch that? What the musical was that they
Eliza
did?
Rocks.
Oh. Grease.
There you go. There you go.
Oh,
Yep.
for an all
Wait a minute!
How does that even work?
Did they film this and not show it to us? Because that would have made this movie so much better.
Well. Yeah, no, I don't know.
If she was both Sandra and Danny in the movie, in the show. Oh God.
Half
Good
the
job,
face is
Coach.
painted. She just turned and then
That's impressive.
yeah.
Yep. And because Tyler gave us the super chat for having been to the winery, do you guys remember the name, the fictitious name of the winery?
Missing
I
daughter.
don't even remember the name of the real winery that you just said 3 minutes ago.
Abandoned daughter.
Oh.
He was so confident in that joke, he had to keep saying it until we heard it. Dude, like I was letting it go, and he was so confident in that joke, he had to come
I was trying
back.
to support my man Patrick. I thought it was a good joke.
Yeah. Chief says Leighton Wine and Company. I don't think that's correct. Do you have your own winery there, buddy?
Not that I'm aware of.
Parker Knoll.
Maybe that's where my butler is.
Parker Knoll was the name.
Parker. That's a good name. I would buy wine that said that.
Okay.
No, that's right.
A.N. The girls get the parents together in a hotel. What's the name of that hotel that they get them together in?
It's a
Sanford?
guy's name, and it's one of the
Or is
names
it
of one of the. Yeah.
You guys are so close.
Stafford.
There it is.
Stafford.
Yep, you got it. Yep.
Good job, Lizzie.
When they sucker Meredith into going on the camping trip, what brand of backpack does she have?
Oh, she's
Prada.
LL Bean, right?
Nope, Prada. That's right.
She's a
See,
Prada backpack?
Desi's on fire.
Because my mom had the same exact backpack.
I think the
That's how knew
point
that.
being that she was too much of a princess to be out in the wilderness, so that's why.
My mom
that
was
said she
I
happened.
just
wasn't an
assumed with
outdoorsman.
the time frame, it was an LL Bean backpack. JanSport.
So here's the last one. Are you ready? JanSport. Here's the last
good
one. This is actually kind of fun. So to recreate their first, encounter on the QE2, they don't take them to that ship. They take them to a yacht to have dinner. What's the name of the yacht?
Starship.
No, it doesn't have star in it. I feel like it does have star in it.
No.
No.
You're going to hate yourself when I tell you. You're absolutely going to hate yourself.
My other car's a boat.
Yep, that's exactly what it is. No. You give up?
Love?
Yeah.
Love. No. Exciting and new. Yeah, Rosita said it in chat. The Halcyon.
Are you serious?
No.
It's
No
the Halcyon.
way.
Wow.
Yep. Rosita not only said it
almost said
once,
that, like,
but
as a
I
joke.
looked at the chat first and she said it like 3 times, like Halcyon. It's Halcyon. It's Halcyon.
I'm
Then
sorry
all-
you
then
were
all
screaming
caps.
at your screen, Rosita.
That crossed my mind to say just like as a joke.
Well, to be clear.
To be fair.
that she said something about stars. I said it's star something. So obviously it was rattling around in there.
No,
somewhere.
y'all
It
y'all
was
definitely
10
yeah.
or 20 more minutes.
Yeah, you got 10 or 20 more minutes. Yeah. So, I mean, this is a good family film. Everything works out the way that it's supposed to. We vilify Meredith, like you said. But Meredith is kind of the villain. I mean, she says, we get to start to see it unravel when she's talking to her assistant and says something about, like, I'm going to send that brat away. She's getting in the way there. And when her parents come in and they're like, you got to land this fish because he's rich. And, so I disagree with that theory that Meredith is not the villain because she is definitely a gold digger in this situation. She's marrying him for his money.
I'm not saying she's a gold digger.
No, stop. We're not doing that. So she wants to marry him and she's like trying to like churn and burn this thing and make it happen quickly. And so they, again, I'm going to say this. If you find somebody that you love and you're going to get married, do you go, by the way, my wife is the world's most famous wedding designer, and I have a second kid?
I mean, he thought they were on the other side of the planet and never going to see
It was
her.
never going to come up? Okay, great.
These two people have no idea how reality works. It must be because they're so wealthy. They don't know, like, that they should tell other people about their horrible... You need to tell somebody. That shows how bad of a parent you are. That, like, yeah, I got 2 kids, but just one of them is here. She doesn't know about her sister. We're going to keep it from him forever. She shouldn't need therapy. It'll be fine.
Yeah,
Doesn't
Rosita,
it seem like she doesn't even know he was originally married? She makes it seem like she had no idea he was ever married.
well,
Like she's like, wait, you had a wife? It's like, well, yeah, there's a kid standing here. There was a step involved. Like, I don't think she was adopted.
that
Isn't necessary.
doesn't mean, no, not
Yeah.
necessarily.
No,
that he
but
was
like,
married.
you know what I mean? I'm not
After I
saying
get
that. I'm
Rob
just saying,
to
but
talk,
I don't
I'll
think
come
he's
and I'll
adopted.
talk with you. Well,
Yeah.
No, I'm just mean. I mean, I
No.
don't think it doesn't. He doesn't act like she's adopted.
But me first, though, right,
That's all
Patrick?
I'm
You're going to
saying.
explain everything to me?
you first,
Okay,
buddy.
all right,
I
thank you.
got
Exactly.
Um,
I don't know. It's just like
Chief
Goes
says
along with it.
she's an antagonist. David says ain't no gold digger. Tony says I love gold. There's that. Rosita says I do like that song. So we're going off on this tangent about Kanye right now. It's a
I
wrong
miss the
direction.
old Kanye.
Yeah. So anyway, Rosita says Corella, and Dawn says she's a huge bee. Patrick, what does she mean by that? Is that another thing you'll explain after the show?
No,
or-
she's like a pest, like a bumblebee,
Queen-
like
Oh, like a
always
bumblebee.
around.
Like a
yeah, and
queen
after
bee.
the honey, the gold.
like Beyonce? Weird. So, so now we've got this situation because they've got to fix this. They've got to get her out of the way, and so they reveal themselves within the family, but still everyone knows but Dad. Typical. And so like the mom knows that like she's got to get the kid back to Dad. She doesn't know Dad's engaged. And so then there's just it's crazy, and they get them all at the hotel, and then they have these scenes where they kind of, it's like a Scooby-Doo where they like miss each other. They just barely miss each other this way and that way, and the door's closing and Shaggy's running back and forth between them. And when they finally get them together, he of course falls in the pool like a bumbling idiot when he sees his ex-wife, and Meredith has already met her and realized that she's a famous wedding dress designer and she's a woman of opportunity, so she's like, hey, will you make my wedding dress? Well, that would have been awkward. And so there's this whole thing going on, and the kids obviously want to bring them together, so they try to bring them together in a camping trip. And they're like, we're not going to leave and tell you which one of us is which until you take us on a camping trip, because I can really do a good British accent, Dad. So you're not going to know it's me. First of all, extortion. Desi, would tell me how this would play out if your kids did that to you. What would you do?
Well, first off, I'm never going to divorce my husband and wind up in this situation. So I have no idea. Yeah, but I definitely would not want to be on a camping trip with my ex. That is for darn sure.
I guess I just mean the idea that the kids are in control. Like, I feel like at 11, maybe I'm giving the parents too much credit, but obviously they haven't done a great.
I know who's in control of this household, and it ain't me.
These parents,
my castle, Daddy,
do not seem like they get angry at anything. Like there were.
Because they're rich, like, Desi. They're rich. They don't have to.
Things and be like, "Oh, are you mad?" Like I knew girls in like middle school who went and got their ears pierced without telling their parents, and then their parents were so angry when they got home. And this mom's like, "Oh, look, your hair's cut and your ears are pierced. You look great." And there's like other times where they're like, "Oh, are you mad?" "Oh, no, of course I'm not mad at you." Like, do these parents never get angry? Do these kids never get disciplined?
No. I mean, here's the thing is they've got the world's greatest get-out-of-jail-free card. Well, you split me up from my sister and sent her overseas, right? Okay, I'll buy you a pony. Okay, I forgive you for burning down the church. Okay,
She already had a pony.
My theory on this is that the parents desperately wanted to be together, and I think you see that. I think all of the body language Dennis Quaid is putting out is showing how much he misses and cares about his ex-wife, and I think that like they're kind of going along for the ride with the kids. I think they already had come to their own conclusion, but maybe they're thinking the kids are bonding. It's giving them time with the kids that they shipped off to the other side of the world. I don't know, but I feel like Dennis Quaid knew from Jump Street that he was done with Mare.
Okay, well, and as an added meet cute to us getting rid of Meredith and getting the parents together, we also get the servants together. So it's nice. So now that the servants are together as a couple, will they be servants in the same household, or will they get like? Will they be given a sock and released, or how does that?
I feel like everybody has to live in California because the mom can be a wedding designer anywhere. The dad can't just like pick up his vineyard and go to London.
Yeah. Let's talk about the music.
The dad's doing a little bit better than the mom is too.
I don't know. I think I don't know. I think she
has a butler and can take a Rolls Royce like it's a taxi.
And she's basically
I'm not saying she doesn't have money, but I think
yeah, but she's basically Vera Wang in this situation, and she can go sell $600 mouse ears if she needs some extra cash. So so let's go back to the music though. There was a lot of good music of the time, like How Bizarre was in there. That was kind of cool. Like, and you know, going from that to Nat King Cole, and then the Beatles, and you know, and Haley Mills with the "Let's Get Together" riff. I mean, it was really neat. I love the fact that, you know, they've kind of forced that moment in when Hallie's in London and seeing it for the first time, that they walk across Abbey Road and they play "Here Comes the Sun" as that happens. That was kind of neat when they did that. By the way, let me back up one more time to something else that should have been a red flag for Dad. When Annie goes off on him as Hallie in French for like 10 minutes, I don't care how great that fencing camp was. They're not going to teach her to be fluent in French in whatever amount of time that was.
It's not a French camp. It was a camp to speak French.
No, and at that point, it's still not raising a red flag for him. He's like, wow.
No.
Wow, Hal, you learn French? Wow, cool.
Was Meredith, was I just blacking out again, or was Meredith's mother in the original Parent Trap? Was she the original Vicky in Parent Trap?
She was Vicky in this as well. Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, there was a little Easter egg,
my
too.
wife pointed that out to me, and it made sense. So.
And she's in the end credits, like in the kind of thing, not just like, you know, so she's sort of featured. But there's a carving on the wall in the isolation cabin that says Vicky loves Nikki. And I wondered if that was also some sort of an homage to her being in there. But it's kind of neat, and it does make me kind of want to go back and watch the original. In a lot of cases, what we'll do is we'll watch the original first and then watch the remake. But I think with this one, again, this one it was a remake that sort of stood on its own, right? Because there was a generation of people who saw this for the first time, and this was their Parent Trap. So. But I mean, it's obviously not the classic with Haley Mills, where she played Susan and Sharon. So at least in that case, they named them sort of, you know, the same thing. So that was kind of cool. So when it's all said and done, they part ways, and then for some reason they can't just chase them down at the airport. They need to then beat them to the airport, get on the Concorde, and go to London, and then hide out until they come home.
They didn't have to beat them to the airport. They could have gone to the airport hours later and still beat them home if they took the Concorde.
Well, no, but just the fact they said, how long did it take you to, you know, figure it out? And she said, like, basically the second you guys left. Get in the car and go to the airport. I don't know. See, but I mean, I guess when you're rich, you just throw that money around. You're like, you know what? This will be fun. This is what we'll do. We will fly to London, and we'll beat them there, and then we'll do it that way. So
I assume they had to pack a suitcase at least. They didn't beat them to the
You have a go bag, right? It's just the instant vacation bag. It's just there by the door.
I mean, do you?
Yeah, we all do. Come on.
Yeah.
My go bag.
I live in Florida, so I already live where you guys all vacation.
I was about to say my go bag has magic bands and fuel rods, and that's my go bag.
Rob texts me a picture of like Hattie B's fried chicken. I'm like, well, I guess I gotta go.
Yep, and then he's got his go bag. He's got his go bag. It's his fat pants and his
Wet
passport.
Naps. Just wet naps.
Yeah. Okay, so this again is the finale of our month-long salute to Lindsay Lohan. Each of you got to review a different movie along the way, and then we all kind of came together to review this one. So, you know, I do want to get final thoughts from you guys on what your favorite movie was, and then what you thought of this one. But you know, so have that ready when we're going there. I want to thank everybody who's been in the chat. You know, we could go on and on. This is a fun group, so thank you guys for being here. But thank you guys for being in the chat. Thank you for the super chat. And again, a big thanks to our WIGS members. We love our WIGS. Thank you guys so much for being part of the WDWNT Interglobe Society. If you want more information about that, you can check it out at patreon.com/WDWNT. We'd love to have you as part of the family. It includes some things like post shows where we kind of talk like this, but even like, you know, more random. So if that's the thing you want, we have that for News Tonight and also for Park Center. So thank you guys for being Wigs members, for being here with us. And again, please make sure to check out all the great programming on WDWNT TV and also Carousel of Products, where you can buy a shirt just like the one that Coach is hawking. So I feel like
And you get a discount if you're a Wigs member. Just throwing that out
Oh,
there.
that's true. You do get a discount if you're a Wigs member. So,
Right.
yeah. So this is the moment. Here it is. This is the movie that we're gonna ask about. So I want to get your opinion on this movie, and then tell me how it feels versus the rest of them. But we'll start with you, Patrick Hackett. Would you recommend this movie?
100 times yes. I had more fun watching this movie. Like I said, I usually try and prepare for the trivia by like taking note of important numbers and words that are around, but I've really just enjoyed this movie. It was so much fun. I watched it with my daughter. We didn't finish it before bedtime, and she put it on first thing the next morning. It's a fun family movie. There's not many that are kind of like this family rom-com anymore. So it's different. It's not the same as every cookie cutter movie, and it's got incredibly creative people behind it. Nancy Meyers is a great director. Obviously, the cinematographer is a legend. So well done, good looking movie. Go watch it.
Okay, Desi.
I think that this movie stands the test of time. A lot of the other movies that we did this month, I watched back and cringed. I went into this thinking that Freaky Friday was my favorite movie out of all of these, but now, after watching this, I actually teared up at some parts during this movie. So I think that this is probably my favorite one. The other thing that I noticed about this movie is that I would probably wear all of those outfits today. Everything was so classy and classic. Like all of Natasha Richardson's outfits were beautiful. Meredith's outfits. Heck, I've even got Chessie's outfit on right now. And if you watch any of the other movies, I wouldn't wear a single thing. They're all horrid.
Well, don't forget on Wednesdays we wear pink.
Everything she wears in Get a Clue or Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen I don't even think they were cute in the 90s. So, yeah, this movie stands the test of time. It's super cute, super adorable. I don't recommend any children try to get their divorced parents back together, but this is still a cute movie.
I like the PSA.
Wow. And Coach?
Yeah, this is a lot of the movies when you watch back many decades later, there is a major cringe factor. This was a cute movie. It was really well done. Lindsay Lohan was amazing in it. I think the nuance even of her trying to imagine being, that young and trying to do a British accent, but faking that you're trying to do a British accent worse than your British accent. I mean, there was a lot of really good things about this movie, and it didn't feel long, right? When Rob and you made the comment when we watched Confessions, it was like, this movie's still going, and it's only 90 minutes. This movie was a lot longer, so it's a good movie. I recommend it. I think it's there's very few cringe moments. I say the only one is probably when she loses the bet and she has to jump in her birthday suit. I thought that was a little cringy, but for the most part, it's pretty on point, and it's definitely a family, like Patrick had said, it's a family kind of comedy that everybody can watch. So I think it's there's a lot of, I like the fact that there's a lot of they gave a lot of character development to the sub characters, right? You root for the butler, you root for Chessie, you root for a lot of different, she's got a lot of sarcastic humor and even little stuff where she's, when they're on the boat and they're talking and she says like, no, why would you do that? And she's like saying what we're thinking as an audience, which was kind of cool. So there's a lot of really good things. I highly recommend it. I think this is her best one out of the ones we reviewed, and go watch it.
All right. I would say, first of all, I'm shocked at the Chessie thing, because I swear when I watched this movie, her name was Jessie. And it felt like a party every day when I was watching it. But when I'm watching this now, it stands the test of time, just like everybody has said here. And I was the one that set the schedule, and a lot of people, and I think Desi was probably the first, was like, oh, you should start with Parent Trap, because I think I saved it for last because I think it's the best out of all of these. I liked a lot more than Patrick did Herbie Fully Loaded. I liked the Freaky Friday, and looking at the way that Lindsay portrayed, Jamie Lee Curtis, that was, I think, a good job. But I think it, to Desi's point, it was a little cringy seeing Jamie Lee Curtis try to be Lindsay Lohan of the time. So I enjoy that movie, but I did think that this one was the best, and I still think that it stood up as the best of this lot. But let us know what you think when when we finish the show. Go down in the comments, tell us which one was your favorite of all of the Lindsay movies that we did. And again, if Life Size was available, I probably wouldn't have done Get a Clue. But after watching Get a Clue and Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen, I probably would have left out Teenage Drama Queen instead. But when Lindsay had this era of Disney, it was, for a lot of people, that was Disney. Just like Annette Funicello, just like Dean Jones or Fred McMurray, just Kurt Russell had these eras of Disney. This was her era. And I think she did a great job with it. So I would love to see her kind of return to the fold at some point. She's doing a lot of podcasting and things like that now where you can check her out. But when we decided to do this at first, I didn't realize there were 5 Wednesdays in August. I'm going to go ahead and admit that right now. I thought we only had 4. And so I was like, son of a, okay, all right. So we're doing 5 Lindsay movies. So this is the end of that. We're going to be back on schedule next week. We're going to start back, and Patrick and I are going to do, are you still good with that? We're going to be reviewing the Groot shorts, I Am Groot. So, which have just dropped recently on Disney+. And then the week after that, we will be back in a panel format to talk about all of the announcements that come out of the D23 Expo 22, because there will be a lot of announcements from Marvel to Star Wars to Pixar to Disney. All the Disney Plus releases there's a lot of things that they announced at the 2019 for Disney Plus. Almost all of those came to fruition, except for, I think, the Hilary Duff reboot of Lizzie McGuire never came to fruition, but everything else pretty much did. Yeah.
Better than the parks did.
Exactly what I was going to say. Better than the parks did. They had a better batting average. There was a reason that the Lizzie McGuire thing didn't happen. By the way, How I Met Your Father is actually not a bad show. So that's what they ended up doing instead. They put it on Hulu.
What was the reason?
For the Lizzie McGuire?
Differences, right?
Yeah, it was creative differences because they wanted to do a grown-up version of Lizzie McGuire and put it on Disney Plus, and Disney didn't want to do the grown-up version and put it on Disney Plus. They wanted to kind of go back to the original target demo of who that character was at the time, and
they wanted it to be more like Girl Meets World.
Yeah, exactly. So that it's just like a continuation
bad word about
of that.
Riley Matthews.
So
I will never say anything bad about Topanga and Corey.
Okay, that's fair. So we'll be back.
Leave Riley and Maya's name out of your mouth.
You know what?
Too.
Let's
deal with this later.
Yeah, let's deal with this later. This is getting kind of crazy. So again, thank you guys so much for being here, for watching this with us, for watching all the Lindsay Lohan stuff. And if you haven't, go back and rewatch it. It's a lot of fun for us to go back through and kind of talk about all this stuff. So please go back, watch the other Lindsay Lohan Appreciation Month specials here on WDWNT TV, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.